Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is going to be, all about self-love, and well, it's something we all need to work on. Is that
Yeah,
right?
it really is.
So we've got this great source to kind of unpack today. A really popular YouTube video from Psych2Go about how to actually practice self-love, not just talk about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so true. We throw that phrase around self-love, but what does it actually mean in daily life, And the video, I think, digs into that practical side, which I really appreciate.
Absolutely, and they don't really sugarcoat it either. They start right off talking about forgiveness, specifically forgiving ourselves, which can be way tougher than forgiving others a lot of the time. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think what's fascinating to me is that it often comes down to fear. We worry that if we're too kind to ourselves, if we let ourselves off the hook,
Yeah.
we'll lose motivation. But the video makes this great point that constant self-criticism, that voice in our head telling us we're not enough, is actually what drains our energy and keeps us stuck.
Yeah. Really. We're scared to be our own cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Like somehow being compassionate to ourselves means we'll become lazy or complacent. But the video argues the opposite, that self-forgiveness is the foundation for growth. How do they make that connection?
Well, they talk about reframing mistakes as learning opportunities. It's a subtle shift.
Yeah.
But it's powerful. So instead of beating ourselves up for messing up, what if we got curious about why it happened? What can we learn from it? That kind of approach. It fuels self-improvement.
Yeah.
But without the harsh self-judgment.
Huge shift.
Yeah.
Huge shift in mindset. And it actually ties into their next point about mindfulness, what you say. I find so many people just get intimidated by that word mindfulness. Would you say is the simplest way to explain it?
Mindfulness. Well, I think it's essentially about paying attention on purpose to what's happening in your inner world, like your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations, without judging them. It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot and getting to know yourself better.
I like that, hitting the pause button. And the video actually suggests some really concrete ways to practice mindfulness, like journaling and meditation. A lot of people think they need to be sitting on a mountaintop to meditate. But it can be as simple as taking 5 minutes to focus on your breath.
Exactly. And that self-awareness the video talks about is crucial for self-love because it helps you figure out what you truly need and want. Separate from what everyone else expects, they actually ask a really thought-provoking question in the video. Are the goals you're chasing actually your goals, or are they influenced by societal pressures, family expectations, that kind of thing? It's a question we all need to ask ourselves regularly.
Yeah. Oof. That one hits close to home.
Yeah.
We've all felt that pressure to do things that look good on paper, but leave us feeling empty inside. And that leads right into their next point, which is about, actually ACTing on those needs. Once we've identified them.
Right. So it's about prioritizing what truly matters to us, even if it means saying no to things that drain our energy or don't align with our values. The video uses this simple example, like feeling obligated to go to a party when you really crave some quiet time alone.
Oh, yeah. Been there for sure. It's that inner conflict between wanting to please everyone and honoring what your body and mind actually need.
Exactly. And the video argues that choosing ourselves, choosing what nourishes us, is a fundamental act of self-love. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. And this takes us into their point about setting boundaries, which a lot of people find really challenging.
Why do you think boundaries are so hard for people to establish and maintain?
Well, I think sometimes we confuse boundaries with being unkind or pushing people away. But what the video emphasizes is that boundaries are actually about defining what's acceptable in our lives. Think of it like creating a safe and healthy space for yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, where you can thrive. It's not about shutting people out. It's about creating an environment where you can give and receive love in a healthy way.
I like that. They even bring in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I thought was interesting. I mean, it's a classic psychology concept.
Yeah.
But how do they connect it to self-love?
Well, they suggest using that hierarchy as a framework for identifying what you need to feel loved and accepted, both from yourself and others. It's a reminder that self-love isn't just about bubble baths and face masks. It's about meeting those basic human needs for safety, belonging, esteem. So you can then work on those higher level needs, like self-actualization.
Love that. So it's like self-love is a journey that starts with the fundamentals and then builds from there. So we've got forgiveness, mindfulness, knowing our needs. What's the next step on this self-love ladder that the video lays out?
Well, the video kind of shifts then to this idea of protecting yourself, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. It's about being selective, about who you let into your life.
Yeah, they actually get pretty specific, talking about the impact of fake friends. That might sound a little harsh.
Yeah.
But I think we all know the type. The people who just always seem to bring drama or negativity into your
Mhm.
space?
Yeah, and it's not about judging people,
Mhm.
but recognizing that certain relationships can drain your energy and chip away at your self-esteem. And remember, self-love is about nurturing yourself,
Mm,
creating a positive and supportive internal environment. Sometimes that means distancing yourself from people who don't contribute to that.
yeah. It's hard, but it's true. They actually challenge the listener to think about their social circle. Like, are the people you spend the most time with lifting you up or holding you back? That's a powerful question to consider.
It is, and it leads beautifully into their next point, which is all about living intentionally. It's about aligning your actions with your values and goals. It's about making choices that move you closer to the life you want to create, rather than just reacting to whatever comes your way.
Right. They use this example of someone who wants to live a peaceful and healthy life. It sounds obvious.
Mm.
But they point out that that desire requires making choices that support that goal,
Mm.
whether it's learning to meditate
Mm.
or eating healthier foods or setting boundaries with people who bring chaos into your world.
Yeah, it's so easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of the bigger picture. This point is a reminder to step back and ask yourself, are my actions taking me where I want to go? If not, what small changes can I make today to start living more intentionally?
Yeah. Being the author of your own story.
Exactly.
And this all ties back to self-love because it's about respecting yourself enough to design a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. But let's be real, we don't always hit the mark.
Okay. Yeah.
I love that the video acknowledges that we all fall short sometimes,
Yeah.
that we don't always achieve everything we set out to do.
Absolutely. And this is where the concept of showing up for yourself comes in. It's about recognizing your efforts, acknowledging your progress. Even when you haven't reached the finish line, it's about being your own cheerleader, offering yourself the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend.
So it's not just about pushing ourselves to achieve, but also about being there for ourselves. When we stumble or fall short, I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's easier to be hard on ourselves
Yeah.
than to offer ourselves compassion, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's definitely a muscle that needs to be exercised. The video encourages listeners to challenge that negative self-talk, that inner critic that can be so loud and relentless. It's about replacing that voice with a more supportive and encouraging one.
Saying, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best here, and
Definitely.
even if I'm not perfect, I'm still worthy of love and respect. And that brings us to the final point, which circles back to something we touched on earlier, self-care.
Yes. The video reminds us that self-care isn't a luxury. It's an essential act of self-love. It's about honoring your physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. They share some really simple and accessible activities, like taking a bath, eating a healthy meal, or getting some exercise. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It's about those small, everyday choices that nourish and replenish you.
And they leave the listener with this wonderful challenge, like, what small act of self-care can you do for yourself right now? It's a great reminder that self-love is within reach. It's not about some unattainable ideal. It's about those tiny conscious choices throughout the day that demonstrate love and respect for yourself.
And those choices add up over time. They create a ripple effect, leading to greater self-awareness, stronger boundaries, and a deeper sense of self-worth.
So what does this all mean? This Psych2Go video paints a really compelling picture of self-love as a journey of continuous growth. It's about forgiveness, mindfulness, setting boundaries, surrounding yourself with supportive people, living intentionally, showing up for yourself, and practicing self-care.
It's about recognizing that you are worthy of love and care, and then making choices that reflect that belief. It's not a destination, it's a practice, a way of being in the world.
It's not about achieving some perfect state of self-acceptance, but about continually striving to be kinder, more compassionate, and more supportive of yourself. Embracing the journey, stumbles and all. And what I find so empowering about this whole idea of self-love as a journey is that it takes the pressure off. It's not about reaching some perfect state of self-acceptance overnight. It's about those small daily acts of kindness and compassion we show ourselves.
Totally. It reminds me of something the video touched on in the outro. They asked this really thought-provoking question. What could your self-love journey look like a year from now if you actively nurture it?
A year from now. That really makes you think about the long game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of transformation is possible if we commit to these practices, even in small ways, every single day?
It's really inviting us to imagine a future where we're not just talking about self-love, but actually living it. A future where we're more resilient, more confident, more at peace with who we are, flaws and all.
It's almost like planting a seed and watching it grow right. It might start small, but with consistent care and attention, it can blossom into something truly remarkable.
And the beautiful thing is, everyone's journey is unique. There's no right or wrong way to practice self-love. What matters is finding what works for you, what helps you feel nurtured and supported in your own skin.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this insightful video from Psych2Go, I want to leave you with that same question they posed. What will your self-love journey look like a year from now?
What small steps can you take today, tomorrow, and in the days and weeks to come to cultivate a deeper sense of love and respect for yourself?
It's a journey worth taking. And remember, we're all in this together. We're cheering you on every step of the way.
And if you're looking for more guidance and inspiration, definitely check out that full video from Psych2Go. They've got a ton of great content on self-care and mental well-being.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep loving yourself.